This deal is so disastrous, it has brought the two very least people together as very unlikely allies. Smokey Thomas of OPSEU is in studio with me here, and Patrick Brown, leader of the PC Party of Ontario, joins us on the line. Good to have you both.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to be on your show.
All right, I'm going to start with you here in studio, Smokey, because you wrote a good op-ed for the Toronto Sun over the weekend warning, because you came on my show during the election and warned. You broke ranks with the unions and you said this is going to happen. They're going to privatize hydro and sell it off, and it's going to be a disaster. And so you've now challenged Premier Wynne to a face-to-face debate with you, so she can explain what she's planning on doing it, how she's going about doing it, and you've heard what?
Well, I've heard mixed comments, but mostly very supportive. I haven't heard back from the Premier, but I'll put a call into her and I'll send her a letter. The reason I asked her for a public debate is just to actually get people to focus on it. This is the biggest privatization in Ontario's history, cloaked in secrecy. As we were talking before we started here, your hydro bill's gone up $250 a month. My hydro bill's gone up at home. And the real effect is we're all going to pay more for hydro. There'll be no oversight. She's doing it all in secret. It's very, very scary. And my fear is one of the reasons my union, we joined with CUPE, Fred Hahn, and a whole host of community groups. And we're going to do campaigning all across the province, town by town by town, just like in 2002. And because if we don't stop this one, if she gets away with this, I think she should go to jail. But if she gets away with it, nothing will be left on the table that we can defend.
Why does the guy driving in his car right now care? Why does the woman at home, trying to take care of her child, why do we need to care about this? Because I'm not sure why it's not the biggest headline. I don't know why people aren't as outraged, or why isn't OCAP out protesting? This is what's hurting people.
I think here's why you should be concerned. Your hydro bill is just going to go higher, higher, and higher. And for public services, so like at schools, hospitals, farmers, anybody, industry, anything in an intensive where you use a lot of hydro, they're going to go up. Now, in the case of public services, all budgets have been frozen. So if the hydro bill, for example, at Brockville Psychiatric Hospital is something in the order of $50,000 a month, heading to $60,000 a month, guess what? That's 10 positions that get cut. And they won't cut management. They'll cut frontline workers. So all this hydro affects every aspect of your life. It'll cause reductions in public services. You're going to pay more and get less. And no oversight. What's going to happen to it when it's gone?
Yeah, Patrick, I'll bring you to this conversation because this is something that the PCs tried to do 2002, and the Liberals, rightly so, went berserk. The unions took this issue to the courts, and it was stopped. That hasn't happened in this case. The Wynne government has gone off and made some legislation and quickly pushed this thing through. Can it be stopped?
Yeah, this is something that, you're right, in the past they declared as completely foolish and misguided, and even people who are still leading members of the Liberal family are on the record of having spoken against it. The challenge, though, is once it's sold, it's gone. And that's why more people in Ontario should be talking about this. They should be very concerned. As Smokey said so aptly, we're losing all oversight. And by the way, we didn't lose oversight once it becomes a private company. We lost oversight the day the budget passed. So we actually lose oversight of the sale itself. This is the first time that the 8 independent officers of Parliament joined together and signed a joint letter pleading with the government not to take oversight away. This is like selling your house and saying you don't want to know the offers or the sale price. It is the definition of insanity. And the real concern is, why are they keeping this in secret? Why are they going out of their way, passing legislation to take oversight away, other than the fact they have something to hide? Who's benefiting from this? It's not the taxpayers in Ontario. It's not people that are going to see their energy rates skyrocket.
I know that Andrea Horwath is also against this, so you are against this. I mean, I don't get the sense that anyone really truly feels like they have anyone fighting for them. I mean, if I weren't in the media and kind of had a good opportunity to look at this issue, I would be overwhelmed by the information, because hydro is not it's kind of a boring topic. I mean, the grid, it's very complicated to people, so they tend to tune out. And yet, at the end of the month, when you get your bill and you have to start budgeting in your household for things that you can afford, like in our household, our bill went up by $250 over the last year. And so now we're looking at a $600 hydro bill, and having to cut possibly activities for my son. And so I'm not sure that's actually getting through the translation, Patrick. Why is that?
Well, and I actually think it hurts on a number of fronts. I think one of the reasons it's not getting through is the Liberals are trying to push it through stealth. That's why our party launched a website, stopthehydrofiresale.ca, and we list all the quotes of Liberals who are on the record saying this would be disastrous for Ontario. We also launched TV commercials this weekend because people in Ontario need to know this isn't just bad policy for today. This is going to have a lasting legacy of incompetence for future generations in this province. And we are going to see everyone's bills go up. We are going to see Ontario, frankly, lose the ability to do good public policy. What if there's a transmission line that's required to get the Ring of Fire off the ground? What if we're going to need an important company having access to energy to create jobs? This is going to have lasting negative impacts on Ontario, and that's why we're trying to get more individuals in Ontario to be aware of what is happening, because I really believe this is happening quietly, but it's going to hurt us for decades.
Not to mention foreign investors. Who the heck would want to come and do business here? I mean, I'll put this to you, Smokey and or Patrick, but who would want to do business in this province?
Well, I think foreign companies that might want to buy hydro would want to do business just to buy the hydro, but it really is a job killer because we've been, myself and steel workers, like ops and steel workers, we've joined together, trying to promote this notion of a modern industrial strategy. But part of that strategy is affordable energy. And this just flies in the face of any kind of, what's the next round of jobs in Ontario? It could be 3D printing. It could be that kind of manufacturing, very value add. But it's also relies a lot on energy prices. So this is a job killer. It's going to stifle growth in the economy I agree with everything Patrick said, and I'll add this for decades to come. And I just say this too, though. I hope everybody in Ontario reads it and realize, wait a minute, just one more way of getting screwed by a Liberal, and maybe you should join in with the Tories and the NDP and a couple of unions and fight this thing. They haven't sold the shares yet, right? So
let me hold you there. Patrick Brown and Smokey Thomas of OPSEU joining us here on News Talk 1010. We're going to take a quick break at 11:15.
It's the Jerry Agar Show. Filling in, here's Alex Pearson. News Talk 1010.
We are talking about Hydro One, the headline that is somewhat buried but shouldn't be because it's going to have some real huge implications for this province. And I got a great text saying, and it's from St. Catharines, saying, I'm aware of hydro issue and infuriated. So what? What can we do? What can anyone do except talk about it? What can actually be done? I'm joined here by Smokey Thomas in studio and PC leader Patrick Brown. This is the question. What can anybody do? I mean, they hear about this, but I think everyone kind of shrugs their shoulders because they don't know what they can do to fight it. Patrick?
Well, I really believe that if enough residents of Ontario express their outrage to their local MPP, they sign the petition, that the government would see the light at the end of the tunnel and understand that they are not reflecting the views of their electors. I really believe that if there was intense public opposition, the government might do the right thing. But the worry is that they're just broke because of their own incompetence. When you look at the $9 billion they're hoping to net from this, $5 billion is going to debt, but $4 billion is to pay for more spending. This government's got a spending problem. And when you think about it, how much has this government cost us because of their own sheer incompetence on energy? There's the $1 billion from the gas plant scandal. There's the $2 billion from the smart meters. There's the $80 million plus on the missed billings.
Yeah, and Patrick, we can go through those costs and expenditures over and over. I guess a lot of people will question and say, if there's enough public outrage, will Kathleen Wynne back down on this, or can she?
I would hope that she would do the right thing. We have to hope that eventually she'll listen to the ongoing complaints. But I just don't know with this government whether they'll do the right thing.
Let me take a phone call from Tom because, and I'll give this to you, Smokey, because a lot of people will say, "Hey, the unions put this party in power, and you reap what you sow." Tom.
Hi, you just stole my thunder. I'm a loyal supporter of Pat Brown from Barrie. And I want to put it this way, that no government owns that power. The power is owned by the people. There should be a referendum. She should be put in jail, but the unions were the one who put her in bloody power.
And what do you say to that, Smokey? He's right. Look, I know you broke ranks with the unions, but there are a lot of people saying, you guys led us to this, and now we can't pay for it. And so you might get, and I'm not specifically saying OPSEU, but everyone else is getting their 3.2 raise and their 9% raise, and the private sector and the moms and the pops out trying to just make it day to day are the ones being stuck with the additional costs.
Yeah, no, I agree with your caller. The unions played a major role in putting her in power through that Work and Families Coalition. We weren't part of that. They're doing a federal version of that right now. I won't join in that because I don't tell my members how to vote. But for all the unions out there, like I'm at a meeting with union leaders, and we're trying to get them all to come and start protesting what the Liberals are doing. But those unions that support her, they're in a very awkward position. How do they climb down off that ladder and get on the ground and on the street and protest with us, and join into the whole host of events that we're going to do in the media and around the province, right online protests, building coalitions, taking it right to Kathleen Wynne. OPSEU activists have put 100 blue flags on her lawn, just tried to draw attention to things. So your caller's right. A lot of unions played a major role in putting her in power, and I say, they're very nervous, but they should say, enough's enough, and start to speak out against this stuff.
Signatures are not going to cut it with this one. Look, I'm wondering where where are all the activist groups that were throwing, bricks and fire at the horses and the cops and making all the noise because they were fighting for the vulnerable? Where are all these groups now when the vulnerable are actually being affected? And Patrick, I'll ask, I think I already know the answer, but if you're elected leader, what will you do about this? I mean, you can't cancel it, I don't think.
That's the problem, and that's why this decision has such a lasting effect. You can't go back. Once you sell it, it is sold. And I certainly, if I was premier today, I wouldn't do this. But I would add this: it's interesting because people say, you're a conservative. You should be supporting the government on this. And what I've said is, I don't care if an idea is an NDP idea, a Liberal idea, a Conservative idea. If it makes sense for Ontario, I'll support it. If it doesn't, I'll vote against it. And frankly, in 1906, when the Power Commission Act was passed, it was by a then Conservative government and a Conservative minister, Adam Beck. And this is very interesting, and I know Smokey will agree with this. The first public demonstration of power in Ontario was in Kitchener in 1910, and the sign they lit for Hydro One was "For the People." This is a natural monopoly. You don't have a choice. And you don't have a choice.
And we should be pointing out that this is on top of costs, the windmills and all the other multi-billions that have been spent on the Green Energy Act. I mean, this is all just part and parcel.
Yeah, the Green Energy Act has been another unmitigated disaster, and they just don't get it. The government issued an RFP late last year for another $1 billion and more of these wind turbines. We're subsidizing energy, essentially, giving first access to our grid to companies coming from South Korea and China. It's the definition of insanity. All
right, so we all claim here that the hydro rates are going to go up. Can you categorically state that, Smokey?
Yeah, the reason I say that is because she won't guarantee they won't go up. So whenever a premier says that, right, and then she cannot guarantee that they won't go up. And I actually have a political economist. We've had business people looking at this, and the TD Bank, Ed Clark's former bank, came right out and said if they do this deal, the taxpayers are going to lose something in the order of $460 million a year. So if the government doesn't want to lose, the only natural place is to raise rates. So, and again, talking to people in the industry, talking to people that work in the industry, they're saying, without a doubt, the hydro cost to the consumer will rise dramatically.
All right. So, Smokey, you've put the challenge out to the premier. Your challenge is?
Well, I challenged Tim Hudak to debate right to work, and Tim and I had a lot of good conversations about it. I've met with Patrick Brown. We had a very good meeting. I like his refreshing approach to politics. And, And what I challenged the Premier is somebody's got to drag her out. And I know her. I used to think she was pretty good people. I used to think she really was a social activist. I used to think that she had the interests of everybody in Ontario at heart. But now I realize it's just a few little people, or rich people that she likes. And my challenge is for, hey, listen, she can pick the time, the place, the moderator, and let's just have a discussion. But it'll give her an opportunity to come clean, get everything, unburden herself of all these secrets that she's keeping from the people of Ontario. Maybe she would like to share with them. And I've said this to her again and again, make the business case to do it, which she's not making.
All right. So the challenge is out to the Premier, and maybe we'll follow up with that and see if she gives you an answer by day's end. I think I might know the answer to that. Patrick Brown, leader of the Ontario PC Party, I thank you so much for joining us today. I have a feeling you'll have a busy summer being on the road talking about this issue as well. And one text from Toronto says, can't the other parties at Queen's Park come together with some kind of legal intervention? Unfortunately, they cannot.